At a glance, they both look the same, but when you dive into the software, one has stock Android and one has HTC Sense 5. I'm Aaron Baker from PhoneDog.com. It's a versus battle between the HTC One Google Play Edition and the HTC One with Sense 5. At first glance, these devices look exactly the same, but when you power on these two HTC Ones, there's an entirely different story to be told. It's the HTC One Google Play Edition device versus the HTC One with Sense 5. It's a versus battle, but before we get started, I'm going to give some love to our partners at Best Buy Mobile. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your contacts, and more. But it's a versus battle between stock Android, or as close to stock as you can get on the HTC One out of the box, and Sense 5, which is HTC's either loved or hated, depending on your opinion, user interface that they've had around for some time, and it debuted on the HTC One. Awesome devices in both aspects. There are pros and cons to both. Let's dive right in and take a look side by side. First of all, specifications. Both of these are packing the same 1.7 gigahertz quad-core CPU. They've got the same 4.7-inch display, same 4 ultra-pixel camera, same internal 2,300 milliamp hour battery, same 2 gigabytes of RAM, and same, in this case, 32 gigabytes of internal storage space. The real difference comes in software. This is running Android 4.2, a stock version, or relatively stock version at that. This is running Android 4.1 with HTC Sense version 5. So there are obviously some great pros and cons to be had with both of these units. This is available through the Google Store unlocked for $599. It works on AT&T or T-Mobile, and I should point out that you get LTE connectivity on both units, whether you go with AT&T or you go with T-Mobile. Keep in mind though, this does not have the AWS band, so 1700 megahertz is out. So no HSPA Plus roaming on T-Mobile, or I shouldn't say roaming, HSPA Plus connectivity on T-Mobile. If you don't have LTE, you're going to fall back to pretty slow speeds all around. So keep that in mind if you're looking to buy this through the Google Experience shop. This is available at AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, coming soon to Verizon Wireless. The subsidized cost is $199 for the 32 gigabyte version. It's available in silver and in black. But design-wise, exactly the same here. All of it's under the hood in the software. Let's take a look quickly at menu so you can see the way it looks and how it's different. Typical Android look and feel over here, and I should point out that again, the updates, keep this in mind, it's not a Nexus device. The updates that this device gets are going to be from HTC. Now you're going to get it faster than you would get, let's say, Android 4.2, or let's say when 4.3 rolls out, this one's going to get it faster than the one running Sense 5. That said, it still is coming from HTC. It's not a Nexus device. I want to make that clear because a lot of people are confused about that. It's not a Nexus device. There are minor customizations here on this unit. One of those is the fact that Beats Audio is still on the Google Play Experience device, or I should say Google Play Edition device, and you can see it right here by going into Sound and seeing Beats Audio, the check mark right there, so you can still take advantage of HTC's partnership with Beats Audio. But again, 4.2 look and feel all around over here. So back to menu, you can see Google applications out of the box, no carrier installed bloatware over here, you're just getting Google Plus, Currents, all the stuff that you would imagine, Hangouts over here on this device, and quick toggles between apps and widgets. Now there's some interesting elements of this user interface which we'll talk about in just a second, but I'm going to jump back over here so you can see what it looks like. In HTC Sense 5, there are a number of changes from previous versions of Sense, and if you want to know exactly what those are, check out my review of the HTC One and some dogfights that I've done. But out of the box here, this is the Sprint version. You can see the Sense clock up top, and then by scrolling down, I've got the ability to change it to alphabetical. I can change it to a custom look and feel, for example, where it groups things in folders if I want to, and then I can change, go back to alphabetical here, I can change this as well, grid size to 3x4, which is actually how it comes out of the box. So you do get some abilities to change and personalize over here that you may not get with Android 4.2, but I'll go ahead and change that grid size back. You do see Sprint installed applications over here, things like Sprint Zone, Sprint TV and Movies, Sprint Worldwide, and more. So the overall look and feel is very different here, and it's going to depend on what you find most interesting. If you love stock Android, but you want to marry stock Android with some of the best hardware on the market, this is going to be an ultimate device for you. That said, you lose out on a lot of stuff with the Google Play Edition version, and a couple of those things include HTC BlinkFeed, which is something that comes out of the box. Originally, people were like, this is terrible, I don't want to use this, but people are warming up to BlinkFeed in a lot of ways, and BlinkFeed is essentially a news aggregator. You can come in here, for example, and hit menu, I can go to topics and services, and I can add in some featured headlines. I can connect to my Facebook, my Twitter application, my LinkedIn if I want to, And then hopefully when Android 4.2 rolls out, I can connect Instagram as well. But I can scroll through and see news articles just on the fly without having to open up Facebook, Twitter, etc. on its own. You don't get that over here. All you get is 5 home screens and that's it. Over here, you can do a maximum. As you can see, BlinkFeed has to be 1, but you can do a maximum of 4 additional home screens to total 5, and you can assign the home screen to a non-BlinkFeed page, so you can use that if you want. So you can get rid of BlinkFeed. You can't totally disable it, but you can push it over to the far left, use it when you want to, and then get rid of it when you don't want to use it. Another big thing to point out here, the camera. Now, 4 ultra pixels is really 4 megapixels, and I'll load up camera, and you can see this is actually a new camera user interface. This is not what comes on the Nexus 4, which also has Android 4.2. You can see it's a slightly revised, slightly modified version of the camera UI, and you can see here I can zoom in, or focus in I should say, and I can come up here and change my settings. What you don't get over here though is HTC Zoe capabilities. You do get that in the camera. I want to point out as one of the biggest selling points of the HTC One. Come over here, for example, I can turn on normal mode or HTC Zoe mode. I can take a quick 3-second video, and you're seeing the red there highlight as I take that quick 3-second video. I can go back, take a quick 3-second video, and you're seeing the and click it right there, and that's a quick 3-second video. Now, what happens here? Boom. What happens there is when I do a ton of those throughout the day, I take a couple of still pictures as well. It groups them into an event in the folder, and I'm just going to take some still pictures as well so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. We'll switch that from Zoe to normal. Just take a bunch of pictures around the office here. Bear with me while I pull it off camera and take some pictures, and it's going to group those all into an event folder over here in the gallery. So I'll go to events, I'll go to my photos, and I'm going to go to events, as you can see, and it's going to load up July 8th, which is today. Now, it's bringing together that HTC Zoe that I took. It's bringing together all of this, as you can see right there, into one awesome video that the phone does itself. No editing required on my end. Super cool little feature, and you can share that with your friends. Now, that's a highlight there. That is missing on the Google Play Edition version of the HTC One because it's not a stock feature, sadly. Another thing I want to take a look at, but I need some more time with the stock unit, battery life. HTC has done a ton of customizations in the software to make this battery last a long time. And when you look at it in comparison to the flagships, 2,300 milliamp hours isn't quite up to par as, let's say, the 2,600 milliamp hour battery on the Galaxy S4 or the 3,100 milliamp hour battery on the Galaxy Note 2 or the 3,140 milliamp hour battery on the LG Optimus G Pro. Lots of big batteries. They've done some great optimizations, and in my test with Sense 5, it's worked incredibly well. That said, haven't had time to test this one out, but with running stock, there's a chance that the battery life may not be as optimized as it would be on Sense 5. You'll want to stay tuned for the full review and for the subsequent dogfights as well, since this is just a versus battle. This versus winner goes to the HTC One with Sense 5. There's definitely a use case for this. Price point is very high, but for those people that love stock Android, it's going to be a great option. That said, you don't get to take advantage of HTC BlinkFeed or HTC Zoe, and those are things that really bring a software ecosystem together, and that's something that this time around, it delivers in full with the HTC One with Sense 5. And also the benefit, despite having Sense 5, both of these are equally fast. I'm seeing no speed differences between the two of them. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for more between the HTC One Google Play Edition and the HTC One Sense 5 Edition. I'd love to hear what you think. I'm on Twitter at PhoneDog_Aaron, Facebook, Facebook.com/HiAaronBaker. Stay tuned for the full review and the dogfights for speed tests and more. But in the meantime, hit me up through social media. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.